Amigos, welcome to the School of Motion Graphics. My name is CM de la Vega. We have an exciting tutorial today. It's all about becoming a master compositor, which is by far one of my favorite things to do, combining video, image, and other elements to make this whole new different image. We'll be doing a movie motion poster with the Justice League. It's lots of fun. You're gonna love it. So let's get started. Amigos, the very first step is to cut out each of the superheroes, and this is a very time-consuming process. It took me about an hour, but I'll show you a quick overview. Basically what I did was I used a pen tool, had a path for each of the superheroes, used a pen tool to cut them out, had them each in its own layer. So you got Batman, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Aquaman. And you make sure you label them because After Effects reads the name of the layers and save it as a Photoshop file. So once you do that, if you go into After Effects, hit Control-I, and you're going to import your Photoshop file. You're going to select the last option, composition, retain layer sizes, and we can say merge layer styles into footage. And when that happens, After Effects will create, it'll create a composition with all the layers that were in Photoshop. And we don't need this background. Okay, I'm going to delete this layer because I already have it in my project. Let's delete this. Okay, and it is right here. So it's the same thing, amigos. What we're gonna do is let's select all the superheroes, hit Control-C for copy, and let's create a new composition, and let's call it 1920 by 1080, 23.976, 10 seconds long. Let's call this motion poster. And hit Control-V to paste it. And let's move this around here. And let's create a new null object. Select the superheroes, and using the pick whip, let's parent it to the null object and select the null object, hit S for scale, and let's scale it down to about 75%. Perfect. You can go ahead and delete the null object. We don't need it anymore. Let's make the superheroes 3D layers by turning on the 3D switch, and let's go to 2 views horizontal. And what we want to do, amigos, is position each of the superheroes in different Z depth. You can select the layers and hit P for position. And one by one, we're going to move them back. So let's go to Wonder Woman. You can either go here and adjust the Z value. For example, you can put 100. Or you can go and you can manually do it. Let's put this. Let's make Cyborg 75. And then let's make Wonder Woman about 150. And it's 150 pixels. Let's go to the Flash. Let's make the Flash 75. And let's go to Aquaman. And let's put Aquaman all the way back about 200. Perfect. And if we go to Custom View 1 and if we orbit, you can see that we already have depth. Now the second step is to place the mountains and the sky. So if we go back to Photoshop, and this is a file that I downloaded from the internet from pexels.com. It's a good website to download images, and it's free. Now what I did, amigos, is basically I cut out the mountains, the foreground, which is this one, the middle ground, and the background, and it's in this file. So let me show you. This is the foreground, and this is the middle ground, and simply I extended a little bit down to the bottom using the clone tool, and I did the same thing for the background. So make sure you label these layers, save it as a Photoshop file, go back to After Effects, and what you're going to do is, let's go back to one view. Simply you're going to import it, and remember Control-I to import, and you're going to select your Photoshop file that has the mountain, and you're going to say if you have different layers, if you only have one layer, select footage. If you have different layers, you can select composition, retain layer sizes, and merge layer styles. Hit OK. I'm going to cancel it for now because I have it here. And let me show you is this composition. And there you go. You got the 3 different layers. So let's select the first layer, your foreground. Hit Control-C. Let's go back to our motion poster. And let's go back to active camera. And what we're going to do is hit Control-V. We're going to paste it in. And let's move this. Let's move this layer. And let's make it a 3D layer 2. And let's go back to the top view. Now we want to put this layer behind all the guys. So hit P for position, and let's put it about 260. Let's go to the active camera, and I think we're gonna need to create a new camera. So go to layer, new camera, and 35mm is good. Let's move it all the way up, and hit C on your keyboard to toggle through, and you can toggle through the camera tools. Now this mountain is pretty good, but it's a little small. So let's scale it up to about 130. And let's move it. Let's see, this is a good spot, and we can move it down here. And let's move it over. Perfect. Now, part of your job as a compositor, amigos, is to basically use different images to build this whole new composition. And you can see that is not the right colors, but that's the role of the compositor, is to manipulate the color of this mountain and match it to our scene. This is our mountain. Let's put MTN, and this is a foreground. Let's make a copy, Control D, and we're gonna move this down. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna swap the foreground with the middle ground, and it's this one, MG. Hold on to Alt, click, and drag. And let's do it one more time, and let's call this MG for middle ground, and then hit Control D, and let's get the background, and holding onto Alt, click, and drag, and this is BG. Now if we switch to two views so you can see, and let's zoom out, our foreground is right here. It's at 260 pixels. And then our middle ground, let's push it back about 700 pixels. And our background, let's push it all the way back to about 1200. So this is what we have. And then let's put our sky. So let's go down, and let's use this image. We have different images you can use. This is a good one too that you can use. Now for this one, amigos, we're only going to use the part that's above the mountain and the lake. So let's go back to our motion poster, and let's select all these layers. Let's make it small and bring in our sky. Let's call this sky. I'm gonna make it blue so we know it's the sky. And these mountains, let's change the color to sandstone because it's mountain. Now the sky, let's make it a 3D layer. Activate the 3D switch. And again, amigos, we're going to push it all the way back in Z space. And this is going to be the last layer. And we can make it about 2500. Go back to one view. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit S for scale. We're going to scale this up all the way, really big. And we can move it up a little bit. Now, like I said, amigos, the job of a compositor is to manipulate the transform properties, is to manipulate the colors and use blending modes to create a whole new composition using pictures or any other elements, video, pictures, and this is exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to adjust the colors of the mountain. So let's go to the foreground, go to effect, go to color correction, and go to hue and saturation. And as you can see, there's a lot of blues. So what we want to do is go to the blues, and we'll desaturate it. The saturation, let's just bring it down. And there's a little bit of green and yellow here. You can see, let's zoom in. There's a little bit of green and yellow. So let's go to the greens. Let's desaturate it. And let's go to the yellows, and let's desaturate it. Perfect. So you can see we removed the blue from the foreground. And let's make it more contrast by adding a levels. So let's go to the levels, and let's bring in the contrast. Okay, this is looking pretty good. We're going to do the same thing for the middle ground. And let's go to Effect, Color Correction, Hue Saturation. Let's go to the blues. Let's desaturate it. And cyan, and let's bring it down to. Now, amigos, we need to reposition the middle ground. I can see that it's all the way down here. We just need to reposition it. This is looking good. And let's go to the background, and we can reposition this to the background like right here. Okay. And let's add some levels to the midground. Go to color correction levels, and let's crush the levels. It's looking good. And the same thing for the background. Let's go to effect, color correction, hue and saturation. And in this case, let's go to colorize. It's all the way in the back, and you won't be able, pretty much the object that's further in the back, it's going to blend in more with the sky color. So we want to blend it more with the sky color in, which is this sunset orange red color. So let's go to colorize, and let's bring it to about 25. We can leave it about 17. And go to effect, color correction levels. And again, let's bring in contrast. And what we can do, amigos, is we can add a multiply blending mode, so it'll blend in with the background. And the sky element, let's see, the sky, let's move the sky down. There you go. Perfect. And if we go to custom view 1, and let me orbit so you can see what we have. You can see we have our background, our sky, and we have each of the mountain and the superheroes in Z space. Let's go back to our active camera. Now let's add a little bit of blur to the mountain. So let's go to the midground, and let's go to effect, blur. Now the new version of After Effects has this fast box blur. If you're on the older one, you can select fast blur, or you can always select Gaussian blur. But in this case, I'll select fast box blur, and let's put repeat edges, and let's put maybe about radius of 2. And let me copy this, and let's go to the background, and let me paste it in and give it 3. So basically, the furthest, all the mountains in the back, it's really blurry. We don't want to see a lot of details, and that's how it is in real life. A mountain, if you're driving here in LA, when you're driving on the highway, there's a lot of mountains. The mountains all the way in the background, it's desaturated. You don't see a lot of details, and it's a little blurry. And we want to mimic that. Okay, amigos, it's looking pretty good. Let's go to the camera, and I will reset everything and create a new null object. Let's call it move cam for move camera. Make it a 3D object by turning on the 3D switch, and let's parent the camera to our null object. And these two, let's make it yellow. And what we're gonna do, let's go to 112. Hit P for position, and let's put a keyframe here, and let's go to 212. Put another keyframe. And let's put, what we're going to do is, let's go to the first one, and we're going to move it. We're going to adjust it and move it here. Perfect. Okay. And we can select these, select the first one, and you can put an easy ease in, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease in. Easy ease out. And the other one will be select it, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease in. Perfect. And what we can do, amigos, select these keyframes, click on the graph editor, select this keyframe, and then just move it in. So what happens is it'll pull out really fast, and then it'll slow down. Nice. So it's a different, we're adjusting the speed of these keyframes by using the graph editor. Really simple trick, and it'll make your moves a lot better. Okay, now, amigos, what we want to do is select the text tool, and we're going to type in Justice League. Now, there is a cool font, and it's in .font.com, and it's the Justice League official font. It's pretty close to it. And if you scroll down, you can see for the Justice League, you can see there's a little star between the I and the C. So he has the characters, but it's these characters, 0162 and 0163. So I'll show you how to activate these characters. So remember, 0163 and 0162. Okay, so go back to After Effects, and let's type in Justice I'm going to put league. Now, since I did this tutorial to practice before I'm showing it to you, what I did is I made the kerning -50 and I increased the height to 110. What we want to do, amigos, is, like I said, create that little star in between. So if you remember, it would be 0,163 and 0,162. So let's go back to After Effects. So select this one, and using your keyboard, put Alt and then hit 0,162 and hit Alt 0,163. And there you go. You got the I and the C with a little star cut out. And what we're going to do is this text layer, let's move it down, make it a 3D layer by activating the 3D switch. Let's go back to your top view. And let's push it all the way back here in Z space. And let's see, P, and let's make it about 1800. And go back to your active camera. And let's see. And then we can position this right here. Perfect. And let's add a gradient layer. And let's go back. So you can see that we're going to do a couple things to cheat it and make it look 3D. It's a quick hack. One, we're going to give it a little bit of gradient to make it look a little bit nicer, and we're going to use an bevel alpha to create this thickness, kind of this 3D look for the text. So let's go back to After Effects, go to Effect, go to Generate, go to Gradient Ramp, and for the start color, let's choose a gray color, and the end color, let's make it a little bit darker. And let me zoom out and let's play around with this, the start point and the end point. And there you go. It makes it look a little bit nicer than just the regular gray color. And then, amigos, what we're going to do is go to Effect, go to Perspective, and go to Bevel Alpha. And as you can see, we increase this to about 8. That's a little bit too much. Let's go to 6. It'll be 5. You see that it looks 3D and it looks very similar to this one. So to match the highlights where the light is hitting the text, we're going to change this to 20. So it's looking pretty good. Now, amigos, there is one thing. As the camera pulls back, you can see that the bevel is pretty thick, and we can fix that by putting keyframes for the bevel, for the edge thickness. So put a keyframe here, and remember that we move the camera from 112, let's put a marker, all the way to 212. Let's put a marker. And when we get here, let's dial it down to about 2. There you go. Let's dial it down to about 2. Let's put easy ease in, easy ease in, and then this one, easy ease out. Perfect. And let's animate this. There's a quick way to animate this, really simple, only involving 2 keyframes. And this is what we're going to do. Let's drill down. Let's go to the text and put animate and enable per character 3D. And we're going to animate the rotation. We'll animate the position. We'll animate the opacity. And we'll animate the blur. All these with just 2 keyframes, you'll see. The first thing is we're going to push it back. Let's push it back about 2,000 pixels. And we're going to blur it about 5. And then the Y rotation, I'm sorry, the Z rotation will make it, nope, it's the X. The X will make it -90. And the opacity will be 0. Okay. Then what we're going to do, amigos, is go down to the range selector. And we're going to put keyframes for the start. And go to 1 second and make it 100. So let's take a look. And it's not working. What we need to do, amigos, is we forgot to do one thing, is we need to go back to the advanced, and where it says based on characters, we're going to do words. Now let's see it. There you go. And to make it nice and smooth, let's go to the easy low and make it 100. Nice. Perfect. It's looking really nice. And that's it. That's the text. Okay, let's move this back and let's adjust the keyframes. Let's push it back, and this one we're gonna push it to about here. We can push it up right there, perfect. And then once it gets here, amigos, we can hit R for rotation, and we can rotate it in the Y. So put a keyframe here, and then let's put a keyframe here, for example 6, and we can rotate it a little bit, let's say this way. And if you run out of room, amigos, if you go too much, for example like this, what you can always do, for example, let's say -10, you can always go back to your sky, and I would just make it really simple on you, and make it really simple and just stretch it out a little bit more. Or you can make it, actually just make it bigger, make it a little bit bigger, and if you want you can stretch it out a little bit more. So it'll go back, let's see it, it'll come in, it'll pull out, and then we have a rotation, and we can do keyframe assistant, ease out. Now for those who have Video Copilot, let's create a new solid, let's make it black, hit OK, and let's bring it down here, and let's call it optical flares, and go to effect, Video Copilot, optical flares. Let's go to options, and very simple, we're gonna go to, I have the preset, let me make this window smaller so you can see, and we'll select this one, cross color, hit OK. Let's go to our flare layer, let's make it screen. We'll make this a 3D layer, let's move it here, and go to the top view, and we want to move this flare in between these two mountains, basically the foreground and the midground. So push it back in Z space, let's push it here, go back to the active camera, and let's move it down here, this, perfect. And then let's just give it a tint, nice. Maybe a little bit more. We can increase it a little bit. Let's see. We can move it. And then we can make it flicker. So go down to flicker, and let's say speed is about 20, and then we can make it about 35. So you can see that this little flare is flickering. And that little thing adds a lot to it. Okay, amigos, a couple more steps and we're done. Hang in there, we're almost done. Now, there is a couple cool stock footage. It's from Mitch Martinez, and they're free to use, and I use a couple of his stock footage, the clouds, and right here where it says embers. So you can go in, it's here's his website. You can go in, you can download it, and let me pull these up, and one of them is stock footage, these embers. Let's see if this is the right one. It's the 19. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these particles, these fire embers in front. So let's bring it in. Let's make it a 3D layer, and let's go to screen to cut them out. And let me just pull back, go to the top view, and this will be in front of Batman, so we can push it forward. Go back to the active camera. Let's see. We can move this over here so we can see more. And we can put it more towards the middle. Perfect. And you can make it glow. You can go to Effect, Stylize. We're Stylize. Stylize Glow. You can add a little glow. Play around with the glow properties, the threshold, intensity. And the last thing, amigos, what you can do is you can add a time-lapse clouds. I believe, let me see if I added, which one was it, the one that I added? This is 76 and this is 85. I did 76. So what you can do, amigos, is go to the sky, make a copy, Control D, and simply we're gonna swap it. Remember, Alt, and then click and drag. And what I'm gonna do is bring it up about here, and then I'm gonna use the blending mode. I think soft light. So let's see it now. Almost there, amigos. You can see the middle ground. We need to go back to your levels and add a little more contrast. That's okay, that looks better. And then I see the flare is giving us a little bit of trouble when we pull out. It gives us a little flash, and it's coming from the flare. So you can fix it. We can perhaps the brightness, fix it really quick. Let's go to 0. Let's cut the layer here. Perfect. And another cool little trick is you can select your superheroes, go to transform, go to auto orient, and you can say orient towards camera, and it'll always be facing the camera. So no matter where the camera moves, they will always be facing the camera, and that's a cool option to have. There's a mistake. There you go, Justice League. Amigos, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and the newsletter for the School of Motion Graphics. And if you want to get started in motion graphics and make some money, make sure you check out my book. It's available on Amazon. And amigos, always stay creative. Let it flow like agua from Managua. We'll see you in the next one.